There comes a quiet moment in every seeker's life when prosperity feels close enough to touch, yet strangely heavy to receive. It is often in this fragile space between desire and arrival that confusion arises. You may notice opportunities appearing, doors opening, or resources aligning, and instead of relief, a subtle tension moves through your body. Doubt whispers. Old fears resurface. The mind searches for what could go wrong. This is not failure. This is the adjustment phase. Dr. Joe Dispenza often explains that the body is conditioned to live in the past. Even when your conscious mind reaches for a new future, your nervous system may still be addicted to familiar emotions like struggle, scarcity, or control. Prosperity challenges identity. It asks your biology, your beliefs, and your emotional memory to evolve at the same pace as your intentions. And that is where most people unknowingly collapse back into old patterns. Think of abundance not as something the universe delivers, but as a frequency you must learn to inhabit. Napoleon Hill taught that riches begin as a state of mind, while Carl Jung revealed that what remains unconscious will continue to shape destiny. When something good approaches, your shadow often steps forward first, not to punish you, but to show you what still needs integration. This video is about that moment, about the invisible tests that appear before breakthroughs, about learning how to stay emotionally coherent when life starts responding. You will discover why maintaining positive energy is not about pretending to feel good, but about regulating your inner world, releasing survival-based reactions, and developing the capacity to receive without fear. Because prosperity does not arrive to change you, it arrives when you are finally ready to hold it. The collision between desire and identity. Prosperity rarely arrives as a celebration at first. More often it enters quietly, almost awkwardly, touching the edges of your life while stirring something uncomfortable inside your nervous system. You may notice that when new possibilities appear, your body reacts before your mind can interpret what is happening. A tightness in the chest, a sudden need to control outcomes, an impulse to doubt what feels too good. This is the moment when desire collides with identity. Most people believe manifestation fails because they lack discipline or clarity. In truth, what usually collapses is internal coherence. You can want abundance consciously, while unconsciously identifying as someone who survives rather than receives. Dr. Joe Dispenza describes this as the body becoming the mind of the past. Even when you visualize a new future, your emotional baseline keeps replaying old memories of struggle, unpredictability, or scarcity. The nervous system does not speak the language of affirmations. It speaks the language of repetition. This is why prosperity often feels threatening at first. It challenges the emotional environment you have lived inside for years. If your system learned safety through effort, stress, or hypervigilance, ease can feel unfamiliar. When abundance approaches, the subconscious may interpret it as instability rather than opportunity. The mind searches for flaws, the heart braces for disappointment, and without realizing it, you pull back from the very reality you asked for. Carl Jung observed that whatever remains unconscious will direct your life, and you will call it fate. In moments of expansion, hidden beliefs surface. Ideas like "nothing lasts," "I don't deserve this," or "something bad always follows something good" quietly emerge. These are not random thoughts. They are emotional imprints formed through experience, inherited patterns, and unresolved memories. Prosperity activates them because it represents change, and the nervous system is wired to protect what feels familiar, even when familiar means painful. The universe does not test you by taking things away. It tests you by showing you what still lives inside you. Abundance exposes identity fractures. It reveals whether you see yourself as capable of holding more without self-sabotage. It brings forward the parts of you that learn to equate love with sacrifice or stability with struggle. This is not spiritual punishment. It is biological conditioning meeting spiritual intention. Imagine moving into a new house while carrying furniture from a burned-down home. You may have better walls and brighter windows, but the old chairs still smell like smoke. Prosperity works the same way. You can step into a new financial or emotional reality while still holding survival-based reflexes in your body. Until those patterns are addressed, comfort feels temporary and success feels fragile. Napoleon Hill spoke about riches beginning as a definite state of mind, yet that state is not created through thinking alone. It emerges when thought, emotion, and behavior align, when you start responding to opportunities with calm instead of urgency, when you allow good things without immediately planning for loss, when your inner dialogue shifts from defense to openness. This chapter is about recognizing that the first phase of abundance is rarely joy. It is awareness. It is the surfacing of identities that no longer match the future you are calling in. Prosperity asks a quiet but profound question. Can you remain present when life begins to support you? Because the true work is not attracting more. The true work is becoming someone who no longer retreats when more arrives. The nervous system adjustment phase. When prosperity begins to move closer, the nervous system often reacts long before conscious awareness catches up. This is where many people become confused. They assume something is wrong because anxiety appears at the same time opportunity does. Yet what is happening is far more subtle and far more human. The body is encountering unfamiliar safety. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that your nervous system is conditioned by past emotional experiences. If your history taught you that stability must be earned through struggle, your biology becomes calibrated to tension. Calm feels foreign. Ease feels suspicious. So when abundance approaches, instead of relaxing into it, the body interprets the new frequency as uncertainty. The heart rate changes. The breath becomes shallow. The mind begins scanning for threats. This is not weakness. It is adaptation. Most people think positive energy means feeling excited or optimistic. In reality, positive energy is regulation. It is the ability to remain present without being hijacked by old emotional programs. True coherence does not look dramatic. It feels grounded, steady, and quiet. But for someone whose system has lived in survival mode, that quiet can feel unbearable. The absence of chaos feels like something is missing. This is why many individuals unconsciously sabotage progress. When things start aligning, they suddenly overthink decisions, delay action, or create unnecessary complications, not because they do not want prosperity, but because their nervous system has not learned how to live inside it. The body seeks familiarity, even if familiarity means stress. Bruce Lipton's work on epigenetics shows that beliefs stored in the subconscious directly influence biological responses. These beliefs are not abstract ideas. They are embodied memories. If your system learned that receiving leads to loss, then every gain activates a protective reflex. Prosperity becomes associated with danger, and safety becomes associated with limitation. There is also a common misunderstanding about intuition during this phase. Many interpret the discomfort of expansion as a warning sign, but often it is simply the sensation of growth moving through a system that is still recalibrating. The body confuses novelty with threat. What feels like fear may actually be unfamiliar stability. Think of sunlight entering a dark room. At first your eyes squint, not because light is harmful, but because your nervous system needs time to adjust. Prosperity works the same way. When more enters your life, your internal sensors need recalibration. Without awareness, the instinct is to close the curtains. Another subtle dynamic appears here: the urge to control outcomes. As soon as progress becomes visible, the mind tries to predict every possible scenario. This creates mental noise that pulls attention away from the present moment. Instead of inhabiting the reality that is unfolding, awareness jumps ahead into imagined futures. Anxiety becomes a way of maintaining familiarity. The adjustment phase is not about forcing calm or suppressing fear. It is about recognizing that your body is learning a new emotional environment. Each wave of discomfort is feedback. Each moment of doubt reveals where old conditioning still lives. Prosperity exposes these layers, not to punish you, but to invite integration. Carl Jung described this process as individuation, the reconciliation between conscious intention and unconscious material. Until the shadow is acknowledged, it will attempt to reclaim control. When abundance arrives, the shadow often whispers stories of unworthiness or impermanence. These stories are not truths. They are echoes. This chapter reveals that the universe does not rush delivery because your nervous system needs time to adapt. Expansion without regulation collapses. Growth without integration destabilizes. Prosperity waits for coherence. And coherence is not something you achieve through effort. It emerges when your inner world learns to tolerate peace, when your biology stops bracing for impact, and when your awareness stays present long enough for the new frequency to become familiar. Only then does abundance feel natural instead of temporary. Positive energy. Without performance, there is a quiet exhaustion that settles into people who have spent years trying to stay positive, while their inner world feels anything but peaceful. It is the fatigue of holding a spiritual mask in place, while unresolved emotions continue moving beneath the surface. Many seekers reach this chapter of their journey already tired, already overextended, already wondering why all their affirmations and visualizations have not translated into lasting abundance. The misunderstanding begins with how positive energy is defined. It is often confused with optimism, enthusiasm, or maintaining a pleasant emotional tone. But authentic positive energy is not emotional decoration. It is coherence. It is the alignment between what you think, what you feel, and how your body responds to life. When those three are out of sync, the nervous system stays fragmented, no matter how beautiful your intentions sound. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches that coherence creates a measurable electromagnetic field around the body. This field becomes the signal that interacts with the quantum environment. But coherence cannot be manufactured through forced positivity. It arises when internal conflict dissolves, when your heart is not resisting your mind, when your body is not reliving past stress, while your thoughts imagine a peaceful future. This is where spiritual performance quietly sabotages prosperity. People learn to smile through discomfort, to speak abundance while feeling scarcity, to project confidence while carrying fear. On the surface, everything looks aligned. Internally, the system remains divided. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to state. There is also a subtle form of control hidden inside forced positivity. It attempts to override emotional truth instead of listening to it. When sadness, doubt, or frustration appear, they are treated as obstacles rather than information. Yet these emotions are signals from the subconscious, pointing toward unresolved beliefs and unmet needs. Ignoring them does not elevate frequency. It fragments it. Carl Jung warned that what is repressed does not disappear. It waits. When prosperity approaches, suppressed emotions often rise to the surface, not to derail progress, but to be integrated. If they are pushed away, they resurface through tension, fatigue, or sudden self-sabotage. Positive energy becomes shallow, like foam on the surface of deep water. True alignment feels different. It is quieter, less dramatic. It carries a sense of grounded presence rather than excitement. There is space between thoughts. Breath moves more freely. Decisions feel less reactive. This is not spiritual ecstasy. It is emotional regulation. Bruce Lipton's work reminds us that every cell listens to the environment it inhabits. When your internal environment is filled with contradiction, your biology receives mixed signals. Prosperity requires a stable internal climate, not constant happiness, but emotional honesty and nervous system safety. Imagine a river. Surface waves may sparkle in sunlight, but it is the depth that determines whether a current can carry something forward. Positive energy without depth cannot sustain manifestation. It looks inspiring but lacks momentum. Depth comes from allowing yourself to feel fully, integrating shadow, and remaining present with discomfort until it dissolves naturally. Many people confuse spiritual growth with emotional bypassing. They skip over grief, anger, or uncertainty in pursuit of light. Yet those emotions are part of the path. They contain wisdom. They reveal where boundaries were crossed, where needs were ignored, where identity was shaped by survival. This chapter is about reclaiming authenticity, about understanding that prosperity responds to congruence, not performance, about realizing that your energy does not rise when you pretend to be okay. It rises when you become whole. Positive energy is not something you act out. It is something that emerges when inner conflict quiets, when your nervous system learns safety, when your thoughts stop fighting your feelings, when your body no longer braces for disappointment. Only then does abundance stop feeling fragile. Only then does receiving feel natural, and only then does prosperity remain, because it is finally meeting a system that knows how to hold it. Receiving without fear. There is a moment in every transformation where the struggle ends, but the nervous system does not realize it yet. This is where receiving becomes the real initiation, not attracting, not visualizing, receiving. And for many people, this is the most unfamiliar experience of all. From early life, most identities are shaped around effort. Love was earned, safety was conditional, recognition came after performance. Over time, the psyche internalized a quiet equation: value equals sacrifice. So when prosperity arrives without exhaustion, something inside feels unsettled. The body searches for the price that must be paid. Dr. Joe Dispenza often speaks about emotional addiction. If your system learned to associate aliveness with struggle, peace can feel empty. If your past trained you to expect loss after gain, receiving triggers anticipation of collapse. These patterns do not live in thought alone. They live in posture, breathing, muscle tension, and unconscious reflexes. This is where the idea of deserving becomes misunderstood. Deserving is not a moral concept. It is a physiological capacity. It reflects how much goodness your nervous system can tolerate without contracting. Many people intellectually believe they deserve abundance, yet emotionally brace when it shows up. Their hands open, but their shoulders tighten. Their words welcome opportunity, while their body prepares for abandonment. Carl Jung described this as the conflict between the persona and the shadow. The persona says, "I am ready." The shadow whispers, "It won't last." Until both are acknowledged, receiving feels unsafe. Another layer emerges here: guilt. Prosperity often activates unconscious loyalty to family patterns, cultural narratives, or collective suffering. There is a silent fear of outgrowing others, of being misunderstood, of losing belonging. So abundance becomes associated with isolation. The system learns to shrink in order to stay connected. Prosperity also reveals boundaries. When resources increase, so do demands. When clarity deepens, misaligned relationships become visible. Receiving requires space, and space requires discernment. Many people avoid prosperity not because they fear success, but because they fear the relational shifts that come with it. Neville Goddard taught that imagination creates reality, but imagination is not fantasy. It is rehearsal. You internally become the person who can hold the outcome. Receiving without fear begins when identity adjusts, before circumstance fully changes. You start relating to life from a place of sufficiency, rather than anticipation. Think of holding water in your hands. If your grip is too tight, it spills. If your palms are too loose, it escapes. Receiving requires steadiness, presence, a body that knows how to contain rather than clutch. This chapter speaks to the quiet work of integration, allowing compliments without deflection, letting opportunities arrive without immediately minimizing them, sitting with success without searching for what might go wrong. These moments retrain the nervous system. They teach your biology that safety can exist alongside expansion. Greg Braden often speaks of coherence as the bridge between heart and mind. When your emotional state matches your intentions, reality reorganizes around you. Receiving then becomes a natural continuation, not a shocking event. Prosperity is not just something you enter, it is something you stabilize. It stays when your inner world becomes spacious enough to hold it, when your identity no longer collapses under goodness, when fear no longer narrates the future. Receiving without fear is not dramatic, it is subtle. It feels like exhaling after years of holding your breath. It feels like realizing that you do not need to justify your blessings. It feels like standing still while life finally moves toward you. And in that stillness, abundance finds its home. Prosperity does not arrive to rescue you from who you are. It arrives to reveal who you have become. What many people call a test from the universe is not an external challenge. It is an internal calibration, a quiet moment where your biology, your emotions, and your identity are asked to rise to the same level as your intentions. Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us that a new life requires a new state of being. Napoleon Hill spoke of riches beginning in the mind. Neville Goddard showed that imagination shapes experience. Yet beneath all these teachings lies one essential truth: abundance stabilizes only when your inner world stops resisting it. The phase of adjustment exists because your nervous system must learn a new language. It must discover that safety can coexist with expansion, that receiving does not require sacrifice, and that peace does not mean something is about to be taken away. Every moment of discomfort you felt while watching this was information. Every memory that surfaced was part of the integration. Prosperity does not ask you to become perfect. It asks you to become present. It invites you to release identities built on struggle, to soften emotional armor, and to allow your body to experience goodness without bracing for loss. The universe does not delay blessings, it waits for coherence. And now a question that only you can answer honestly. When something truly good enters your life, do you open your hands or do you tighten your grip? If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next teachings on consciousness, abundance, and inner transformation. And stay with us on the final screen, where another powerful video is waiting to deepen this journey even further.